Having a BB gun was a regular pastime in the 1970s. Target practice.
Wait, my friends, so this is not the first time I see people mentioning this, that kids had BB guns. But those can hurt really bad, Can someone confirm me in the comments if this was true or not? Because this seems crazy to me, my friends. Actually, leave a like if you agree with me, this generation was really tough. Today I'll be reacting to 13 dangerous kids totally ignored in the 70s. My friends, I'm super excited for this one. And there is one reason I'm excited for this one. I have a lot of you that end up growing up on the 70s, on the 60s. Actually, you have to tell me if this video is correct or not. But before I go into that, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much. Is the best way to show support. Now, if you can subscribe, well, in that case, forget about it. You make my day. Have that in consideration. Link for the original video in my description, and let's play it.
Growing up in the 1970s was an adventurous and carefree time, where kids still had plenty of freedom.
Okay, why there is a photo of a lot of kids? This one is even injured, smoking.
They explored, played, and took risks that would make some people cringe today. Safety certainly wasn't the top priority, but these—
Sorry, this is Gen X, or is baby boomer. But I believe it's Gen X, right? If you guys are wondering, I'm a millennial. Not that I care that much, to be fair, but Gen X seems a really tough generation.
daring activities did leave us with an independent spirit, and the memories still bring a smile to those who lived through it. So let's take a look back at the dangers kids ignored in the 1970s.
Let's go, my friends. Recollection Road?
In the 1970s, kids still spent quite a bit of time around train tracks. If they weren't placing pennies on the tracks, they might be found hurling rocks at passing trains, or using the rails.
No. Wait, what? No one did that, right? Anyone watching ever did that?
As a balance beam. Walking along the tracks was common, and making it across a trestle was an adventure for many kids. Despite the dangers, kids would dare each other to keep going, even when they heard the distant rumble of a train. The narrow trestles, which sometimes stretched over deep ravines, added to the thrill. Back then, the potential danger of falling or being hit by a train was a real fear, but some kids still worked up the courage to accept the challenge. Having a
Oh, my friends, is this a bit of an exaggeration, maybe? That seems wild, honestly.
kids still worked up the courage to accept the challenge. Having a BB gun was a regular pastime in the 1970s. Target practice.
Wait, my friends, so this is not the first time I see people mentioning this, that kids had BB guns. But those can hurt really bad, Can someone confirm me in the comments if this was true or not? Because this seems crazy to me, my friends. Actually, leave a like if you agree with me, this generation was really tough.
Practice was usually an old soda can, and carrying them around the neighborhood was commonplace. Many kids would also have BB gun fights with their friends. In the 1970s, being shot by a BB was a badge of honor, and no adults were around to tell them to stop. Getting hit on your bare skin would leave a good-sized welt, but it would heal and not stop you from doing it again. Sure, BBs could ricochet and hit someone in the face or eye, but that was just an acceptable risk. In those days, everyone, including parents, seemed to have a much higher tolerance for danger.
Okay, but what about now? Kids have BB guns in America? No, right? It's not common.
Exploring abandoned buildings or sneaking onto construction sites was a classic 1970s activity. Kids were outside constantly and would fill their day with all sorts of adventures, including climbing over rusty nails, broken glass.
Okay, this is not America. What the hell is this photo?
Glass and loose boards.
Wait, is this America?
Without giving it a second thought. The thrill of discovering an empty space and turning it into a secret clubhouse or battleground outweighed the risks of stepping on sharp objects or scraping your knee. No one really worried about it, and most parents didn't even know where their kids were spending their afternoons. The freedom to roam and make some risky choices was what growing up was all about.
A lot of you guys say that parents nowadays are. You guys have an expression, helicopter parents. I think that's because they are always around them, right? This also happens here. It can be a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because sometimes, protecting your kids, I think everyone understands. But in the other end, I think it's important to let the kid, make bad decisions in the sense that not life decisions. Okay, bad decision is not a life decision. What I mean is, okay, you screw up, now you have to learn. I'm trying to find that balance myself as a dad.
Rolling down hills in giant tractor tires was the kind of wild, unpredictable fun that made the 1970s an exciting time to be a kid. You'd climb inside and let your friends push you down a steep hill, completely out of control as the tire gained speed. It didn't matter if you crashed into a tree or rolled off into the bushes. It was all about who could stay rolling the longest. You'd of course end up dizzy and banged up, but it was all in the spirit of fun. With no helmets, no supervision, and no way to stop once the tire got going, it was a game that gave kids a shot of pure adrenaline. Playgrounds in the 1970s were a whole different experience, especially with their tall, all-metal structures. Climbing to the top of a
zero protection on this one.
Hot metal slide or navigating the jungle gym was both thrilling and dangerous. In the summer, the metal would get scorching hot, and kids could easily get burned. And if you fell, you weren't landing on soft rubber mulch like today. There was just hard dirt or even concrete. But this didn't stop us.
Concrete? At the playground?
We would climb onto the merry-go-round just to see how much speed we could take before being thrown off. The swing sets would often lift off the ground the higher you swung, yet we would still see how far we could push it. The 1970s playground may have been the most dangerous place a kid could be, especially when you add in the inevitable dare from a friend. It certainly was an unforgettable part of childhood. Back in the 70s, as kids were roaming free, they often snacked on wild berries or sipped nectar from honeysuckle vines while playing outdoors. It was part of a carefree spirit of the time. If it looked like food, kids would try it, and so would most adults. There was always a slight chance of eating something poisonous or having an allergic reaction, but that didn't stop kids from enjoying nature's bounty. It added to the adventure of playing in the yard or exploring the neighborhood, and most kids were taught by their parents what wild plants were safe to snack on.
Okay, this one does not sound as bad actually, because I also did this, eating these fruits. But I was, I knew what to eat. Well, at least I thought maybe. Well, now that's the thing, my friends. Even if I know you guys may be mad at me, but even if I did certain things that nowadays will be basically, people will have the reaction that I'm having right now to a lot of this stuff. I don't know, for my kids, I feel a bit more stressful because. But I think I think we have to find a balance, because it's also bad, right, my friends, to not let your kid explore, because they will rely a lot on you later, right? Actually, I have a lot of people that have kids, have grandkids, so I would love to know your perspective on this one, my friend.
Building a makeshift bike ramp and daring each other to jump over friends was an everyday thrill for 1970s kids. The ramps were usually cobbled together from old wood, wobbly and unstable, because you had to work with what you could find. You'd see how much air you could get, with friends lying on the ground below.
Oh, that was amazing.
Cheering you on. And of course there were no helmets or pads, and crashing was likely. So scrape...
Okay, sorry. From 0 to 10... what are the odds of this photo being real?
Knees and bruised egos were something that kids learned to deal with.
There is an adult right there chilling.
In those days, kids lived for the adrenaline rush and the bragging rights that came with a successful jump. Nothing felt freer than riding in the back of a station wagon with no seatbelts, facing the rear window and making faces.
No seatbelts? What? Okay, I grew up with seatbelts, my friends. Since I can remember, seatbelts are a thing. Actually, one more thing, my friends. Wagons are still so common here in my country that surprises me that you guys don't use them anymore. This is a great vehicle. I guess you guys prefer SUVs and pickup trucks, right? But this one, I feel like there is still, they are still good.
At the cars behind you. In the 1970s, it was common for families to pile into the car for long drives, and kids would
Holy, and that's a beautiful wagon.
often play games or nap in the back, with no worries about strapping on a seatbelt. Parents didn't think twice about it either. It was just how things were done. There were still sudden stops that sent kids flying forward, or turns that made them bump into one another, but it was all still worth it.
Wait, but no seats at all. It's not like they are not putting the seat belts. They don't have the belts.
In the 1970s, kids would willingly chase after DDT trucks as they spread pesticide through neighborhoods, thinking the thick fog was fun to run through.
No way.
No one really understood the long-term health risks of inhaling the chemicals at the time. It seemed like just another summer activity, like riding bikes or playing tag, and parents didn't seem too concerned either. The trucks would roll slowly down the street, leaving a cloud behind, and kids would race through it, giggling and trying to stay in the fog as long as possible.
What?
When winter came, one of the most daring things kids did back then was something called hookie bobbing, which meant grabbing onto the back of a moving car and sliding on the icy streets. It was like a makeshift sledding adventure, except the cars were real and the ice was unpredictable. The goal was to hold on as long as you could without wiping out and getting hurt.
But what if there is a bump on the snow?
There were many forms of this, some including a rope pulling a sled, but it was the
To be fair, this seems fun.
thrill of seeing how long you could hang on while the car sped away. This was especially popular on snow days, while kids were at home and needed fun things to keep them busy.
Yeah, no school, right?
Playing with fireworks was another exciting, though risky, part of being a kid in the 70s. Whether it was cherry bombs or bottle rockets, kids handled them
What the hell is the cherry bomb? I actually don't want to know. This explodes, really?
with very little supervision, lighting them off in backyards for fun or trying to blow something up. Sometimes things didn't go quite as planned, with a black cat going off too soon or a bottle rocket shooting in the wrong direction. But that didn't stop kids from eagerly lighting the next fuse. Playing with small-scale explosives was exciting, especially for young boys during this relaxed era.
Yo, my friend, sorry. Wild times. I love all of you, as you guys are aware, but see the thing I was having the conversation. Yeah, no chance my kid does this. No, a bomb? A cherry bomb?
Neighborhood games of football or street hockey in the 1970s were all about rough and tumble fun. Nobody wore pads or helmets, and injuries like scrapes, bruises, and the occasional broken bone were just part of being a kid. Full contact
To be fair, football is a very tough sport. Violent, I mean, there is no way around.
sports were often expected, and everyone played to win. These games could get intense and would often go on until the streetlights came on, with the kids settling their own disputes and handling whatever bumps and bruises came their way.
Street hockey.
In the 1970s, it wasn't unusual to see kids riding bikes, skateboards, or scooters barefoot and shirtless. Summer afternoons were spent zooming down hills, wind in your hair, with nothing between you and the pavement. The risks were clear: cuts, stings, scrapes, and even rashes.
What the hell is this girl doing?
But it wasn't something that kept kids from having as much fun as they could. Kids just weren't concerned with covering up. After a rough scrape, Mom was always ready with the Bactine or mercurochrome, and had calamine lotion for things like poison ivy, which was everywhere at the time. And of course, there were always those Band-Aids from the metal tins. I mean, who could forget that Band-Aid jingle from the 1970s?
Depend on the protection of America's #1 bandage.
I am stuck on Band-Aid, 'cause Band-Aid stuck on me.
Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and make sure to check the description of this video for links to pick
This
up a
video was
t-shirt
awesome.
and sign up for the newsletter.
Okay, that's it. Damn.
Thank you to our
Okay, Alfred, show him all the support. I don't even know what to say, my friend. I feel like this video went from crazy to even more crazy, and we lost our mind. Yeah, I mean, again, is this a bit of exaggeration? I cannot tell, but you guys will tell me if some of those things end up being actually a thing or not. So yeah, See you guys in the next one. Bye, my friends.